With Tidal Update 10 set to drop in less than a week, the second season a week after that, and the next raid sometime in July, the next few months for The Division 2 are seemingly packed with new and exciting content. But after looking over the trends from the past few patches leading up to this point and the new additions to the game, the future of this game is quickly trending towards a path of another few months of repetitive missions and weak rewards. What's going on, agents? It's LtBuzzLitebeer back with another Division 2 upload. And I don't normally start off my videos with such a somber intro, but I believe in expressing myself both wholly and truthfully. Now, although there are a lot of modifications and adjustments coming in Tidal Update 10, some which I fully support and some that I am completely against, there is a glaring lack of new content for this IP, and that is what I wanted to cover in today's upload. But before we begin, we are less than 400 subs away from hitting the 50,000 subscriber mark on the channel. And if you haven't yet done so, please take just a second to smash that sub button for intensive Division content. And don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another upload notification from my YouTube channel. Okay, let's begin. So in preparation for this video, I took to the Ubi forums and researched previous title updates and the patch notes for each to try to establish any trends across the various titles. And what I have found is that ever since the Warlords of New York went live in March, the team has been scrambling to get a firm grip on the game. Warlords really tore the band-aid off the open wound of busted mechanics and overpowered weaponry to lay bare everything that was truly broken with this game. Now, what Warlords made evident is that our once powerful DC builds were rendered useless in New York City as we went from feeling powerful to extremely underpowered. The trend I mentioned earlier is evident from the patch notes since Warlords went live, as you can consistently see NPC skills and power levels being heavily adjusted downwards, while outliers were targeted and terminated. More on this trend later in the commentary. A secondary trend that I noticed was that even with a game that launched 15 months ago, it looks like a title that the dev team still does not have full control over. And I say this based on how many health, balance, and game improvement patches I have seen over that time period, including the monumental bug fix list every time a patch notes goes live. It really becomes this struggle of what the gamer base wants, which is new content, replayability, and a balance between grind and reward, and what we normally receive, which is a title update loaded with balance changes and bug fixes. Say nothing of how I almost cringe every time a new update goes live, as whenever we get one new item, it seemingly breaks 10 others. And so this brings me to the present and what we will expect to see from The Division 2 over the next few months, starting off with Tidal Update 10. Now, I don't want you to think that everything I see in this game's future is bleak, as I covered all three phases of the PC PTS for this update and saw quite a few positive changes with the live game. There were sweeping balance changes to underperforming weaponry, which will promote using a weapon outside of the classic M1A. Targeted loot was mentioned as being improved upon, even though the specifics of that mechanic were not elaborated on, and crafting has been overhauled and should be a viable option in TU10. Vendors will now not include purple offerings and will feature one named item for sale each week, and loot scaling based on difficulty settings will finally be implemented, even though I have no idea why it has taken the team this long to come to terms with this clearly broken mechanic. And based on the infographic from the latest State of the Game stream, this title update is one centered on the health of the game, loot generosity, player power, and the overall experience. What I will not say is that Tidal Update 10 will save the Division 2 and make everything that was once wrong right again. When I look over the patch notes for the various phases of the PTS, I see changes that should have been installed and implemented into the live game months ago. Loot quality and rewards have suffered in this game ever since we made it out of the world tier system, and I have lost track of how many months ago that was. Weapon balance has been reduced to using a few specific weapons like rifles and LMGs, and should have been addressed months ago. Brand sets and gear sets have shown clear best-in-class favorites for many months, with crit being the best and everything else just falling far behind, and this needed balancing months ago. And I won't get onto a tangent of PvP and the Dark Zones and how clearly broken that facet of the game is. And this again leads me back to that statement about how it feels like the dev team is, even to this day, trying to get a firm hold on the game and how to make it all work correctly. Switching gears, and a week after Tidal Update 10 goes live, we will receive the second offering of Seasons. And I'm going to come right out at the opening of this portion of the commentary and state that I felt that Season 1 was a disaster, and besides Polarity Switch, could have never gone live and the health of the game would have been just fine. I don't understand how global events, which were done so well in the original Division game, could have gone so wrong in Div 2. Global events are there to push agents to engage the game in a different style, to push them out of their comfort zones while still maintaining the challenge and fun factor. What I saw from Season 1 global events was an unrewarding grind fest that punished players with awkward mechanics, all the while making us feel extremely underpowered in comparison to our targets. Solo completions were virtually impossible due to the NPC spawn numbers and behaviors, and the rewards for finally completing the objectives were just terrible. I lost track of how many subpar named weapons I received in reward caches, along with gear caches and crafting materials that I couldn't use because I was already at the maximum material allocation because I don't use the crafting bench because of the terrible attribute rolls I seemingly always receive. In the end, global events really boil down to busy work tasks that netted us backpack trophies. Season 2 has already announced that it will only include one new global event, and will recycle others that we saw in Season 1, and this equates to grinding out the same old GEs we saw in Season 1, but all over again, and it is something I am electing not to do. If I complete a few of the tasks, then that's fine. And I guess my question really boils down to where are the incentives? Where is that rare loot? Where are those special pieces that can only be found by completing the global events? There is nothing outside of the backpack trophies that I can't find in the open world. And this is the same argument I have with the manhunts. Week after week of grinding out control points and the same old missions we have played thousands of times, only to get to the target, kill the target, and get mediocre high-end gear. I even tried the first few targets both on challenge and heroic difficulty, and the results were exactly the same. I don't remember looting anything of value, and other than Jupiter and the EMP mechanics, there was really nothing memorable to be taken away from the first complete manhunt. The overview of Season 2 is that they are repackaging Season 1, offering the same gear and weaponry you can find in the open world, using most of the same GEs from Season 1, and other than a few backpack trophies and a new shock trap variant, it will be more of the same. And finally, we have the Operation Iron Horse raid, sometime in July, although it could be pushed back even further as that door was left open by the dev team. Remember when we thought we were getting the raid as part of Year 1? And that ended in March of this year. Anyways, at this point, other than a few pics of the environment of the raid, we still know nothing about it. We don't even know an exact date that it is dropping, so we can try and plan ahead and coordinate our squads to have that day off as we try to complete it. Now, all we do know for certain is that the new raid will have alternate versions, one for level 30 agents that didn't purchase Warlords and another for level 40 agents. It will again require 8 players, and there will again be no matchmaking, which by the way was part of the marketing for the raids, right? Matchmaking. Now, matchmaking could be an unmitigated disaster, but it is something that the player base has clearly been requesting and is still not received. Finding 7 other agents to pair up with is tough these days, and a matchmaking mechanic could do wonders to help out a group that needs 1 or 2 more agents to make a full raid party. And this leads me to the final few observations about the game moving forward, starting off with the new exotics, gear sets, and brand sets. The game needs more than what is coming, and I know that the Balance Pass was designed to increase alternate gear and weapon selections, but even then, it needs more. Furthermore, locking 2 of the 4 new exotic weapons and 2 of the 3 new gear sets behind the raid is only going to hurt the game. Should there be raid-specific items? Absolutely. But when half of the weaponry and 2/3 of the gear sets are walled off to a majority of the player base, that needs to be evaluated under a topic of, is this healthy for the game? Finally, from everything that I've seen leading up to Tidal Update 10, all the patch notes, all the changes to NPCs, and now the monumental nerfs to crowd control and status effects builds, how is this going to further improve build diversity? I mean, if the game has gradually scaled back NPC damage and aggressiveness, while simultaneously buffing agents' weaponry and damage output, why would someone choose to use a healer or tank build on heroic or legendary difficulty? Now, I posted a poll on Twitter less than 48 hours ago asking that same exact question. and as of the time of this video, the poll was 76% to 24% that the game has shifted to a full DPS meta. That poll is still active, and I will leave a link to that in the comment section below, and I encourage you all to vote. I guess a question I would like to pose to the dev team is, why was this moment chosen to absolutely crush CC builds into the ground? I mean, the NPCs will be less lethal in TU10, according to the patch notes, and agents will simultaneously be more powerful, once again referencing the patch notes. So why was this the perfect time to make crowd control builds irrelevant? Quickly wrapping up, and I know today's video was a bit of a rant and took on a defeatist tone, but I don't want to leave it that way. I have enjoyed this franchise since it went live in 2016 and will continue to play and upload content on a regular basis. But when items come to light that are puzzling to me, I am not the kind of community member that can just shrug and move on. I have that need to question those changes and ask for clarification as to the vision of this game moving forwards. Will Tidal Update 10, Seasons, and the new raid be just what this game needs? That I don't know, but I wish nothing but the best for this franchise and will continue to contribute on my side in any way possible. Okay, that's enough for today, and as always, I look forward to reading your feedback in the comment section below. Remember to smash that sub button and ring the bell to never miss another upload notification from my channel. If you liked the video, rate it with a thumbs up, if not with a thumbs down. Patreon and Teespring links in the video description, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter for all my latest thoughts concerning most things gaming related. And until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.